so let's get ourselves loose and warm, and all nice and mobilised. So when you're ready, just bring your feet in under your hips and just anchor your weight into your heels. Soften the knees and just open the knees a little from the hips, so the knees out facing each other, the more facing to the front, so it connects your outer thighs. Then pull up through the top of the head and give your shoulders a roll back. When you're ready, just lifting up the arms, dropping them down to the right, lifting them up, and then dropping them over to the left. So to keep your weight anchored into your heels, gently drawing your tailbone down at the back and a little lift of your pelvis at the front. As you're keeping the knees open, that's going to also switch on your outer thighs and create more stability around your pelvis. So then you can try and lift the heels as you lift the arms, rolling onto the balls of the feet and then rolling back down onto the heels. Now try not to sway forwards as you lift the heels. Feel like the crown of the head is pulling straight up towards the ceiling. And the eye gaze turns, we're still feeling that rotation through the upper back. We're still very aware of our hips, staying perfectly still. And your last one on each side. Keep the hands to the left, and we're going to step out to the right with a little wrap and pull back into centre. Turning your chest all the way around to the right, and then trying to turn your chest around to the left as you step into centre. Again, think about the hips. So as you step in, give your bottom a little squeeze, so you're holding the hips in centre and feeling more rotation through the spine. Just look at the crown of the head pulled up to the ceiling to keep the spine as long as possible. You might step a little bit wider, keeping that left foot pressed into the ground and staying across this time. So square your hips and your shoulders to the front and straightening both legs as we move into our inner thigh stretch. You can keep the hand nice and close to your thigh so it just slides down towards the knee, or gently reaching out to the side. You get the feeling you're lifting your left hip away from your right heel, and that's what's going to increase the stretch down that right inner thigh. And as you lift your elbow, that'll come into the waist too. Now again, breathing out with the tip and a breath in as you rise. And twice more here. And then we're going to step into centre and stride that same leg forward. So into our hamstring stretch. Make sure the feet are hip distance and keep them hip distance as you stride. Back heel presses to the floor and then straighten both legs. Set your shoulders back. And now you're trying to lift your right buttock away from your right heel. So don't worry about how far you're coming forwards. Think about trying to lengthen down the back of your right leg. With the hands behind the back, we can gently squeeze our shoulder blades together, which is going to help to keep the front of the collarbones nice and open, which is going to make sure that we keep our upper back in neutral position too. And then hopefully feel more stretch on the back of that right thigh. So again, try and lift the bottom a little. Keep pressing down to your left heel at the same time. And once more. And then let's step back in to the centre. So feet just under the hips, arms come to your right, keep the hips square, and then step over to your left and turn around to your right. Now try and keep the shoulders stacked above the hips as you move. Sometimes you wrap across, we tend to want to lean across. So try and keep the spine as long as you can, and the crown of the head drawn up to the ceiling, and really let your shoulders relax. Let the arms just naturally wrap around your waist. Try and breathe out as you step across, and a little breath in as you rise. So good for the spine. And two more here. As you step across, stay across. Square the hips and the shoulders to the front, and then when you're ready, keeping the length still in the spine, so we're not grounding the spine to lower down. We're trying to keep the ribs and the hips apart here. So if you feel that when you tip to the side, your ribs just collapse, try and keep a little bit more length and more focus on moving your right hip away from your left heel. Now you can lift the right elbow a little higher. You can stretch out your left arm a little further, but keep pressing down nice and evenly through both of your feet. Try and breathe out as you go into the stretch, and a little breath in as you rise. And the more you push your right hip across, the more you can feel the stretch in that left inner thigh. And twice more. and then we're going to take it into the back of the thigh next. So as we step in, feet come under hips, hip distance, and stride forward and place the back heel down and straighten both legs. Roll the shoulders back. Sometimes we take the hands here and we don't roll the shoulders back, it'll round the upper back more. So roll the shoulder blades back and down first, and then hold the shoulder blades together as you hinge forwards. So again, we're thinking about lengthening the back of the left leg. You're pulling your bottom back, you're pressing your left heel into the floor, and then using the out breath as you hinge forwards. Chin's nodded in, so we're not losing the alignment between the neck and the spine, and we just focus on that nice hinge and lengthening down the back of the leg. 3 to go here, and then 2. And now coming in to your last one. Step back, so you're bringing your shoulders right back above your hips, and then just stride your right foot forward now. So straight right leg. Don't let your left knee drop forwards. Keep the hands behind the back to begin with. Hinge forward so you're sticking your bottom out, and then sit back in towards your hips and your heel. Then push up out of your left heel. You'll know if your knees come forward because the weight will shift forward onto the toes. So really focus on trying to keep the weight through the left heel as you pull your bottom back. If you're happy, you can add a double arm float. And as we add in the arm float, thinking about keeping the shoulder blades just gently drawn down to the back of the ribs. You lift the arms higher as you sit back into your hips. Again, keep focusing on where the weight is in your left foot. Right back into the heel. And then think about squeezing your left buttock to push the hips forwards. Breathing in as you sit back, breathing out on the way up. 2 more here. And then your last one. Changing sides. So let's bring the hands behind the back again. Roll the shoulder blades back so your collarbones are open. Then step your left leg forward, but don't put your weight forward. As you take your left leg forward, try and keep the hips stacked above the right knee. And then when you're ready, hinge forward, bend the knees, sit back into your heel. Push out the heel. Now, as soon as you start to rise, think about squeezing the bottom, so you push the hip right back under the shoulder here. Sometimes we tend to just stop here. And by just giving the bottom an extra squeeze, just creates a bigger range of movement for the hips and a little bit more engagement for your glutes on the way up. If you're happy the shoulders are staying in place and you're keeping that neutral spine, you can add in your double arm float. Breathing in as you sit back, breathing out to rise. As the arms start to rise, draw the shoulder blades down, so we're aware of still got that connection in our upper back and hopefully some balance. And a couple more here. Coming into your last one, and then stepping your feet together. Right, let's come into some lunges with a little bit of balance. So your feet hip distance apart. Step your right leg back, Front knee over your heel and tuck your bottom. We're going to come down into our lunge, and then you're going to turn your palms down to the floor as you hinge forwards. Turn your palms towards each other here, holding the ribs down. And as you turn your palms towards the floor, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Breathing in through your nose, so feeling the stretch in the hip flexor, and then breathing out, bracing your core as you hinge forward to keep that nice length into the spine. Now as you come forwards, try not to lock out your standing leg. So just keeping that left knee ever so slightly soft here, so it's more of a hinge from the hips. Feel the shoulders open at the front and the shoulder blades squeeze together at the back. Once more. Now we're going to stay forwards. From here, hold, bend your front knee and tap your back toe, and then push back up out of your front heel. So slow that tilt forward, and notice the left knee's not dropping forward. You're trying to move back into your bottom and then pushing out the heel. Breathing in as you go back and breathing out to rise. Keeping your palms facing the floor. So just look at that squeeze into the shoulder blades. Try not to let the knee drop forward. So you get that feeling you're trying to reach your right foot a little further back and then push out the front heel. For 2, and then your last one. and then you can step in and you can change legs. So when you're ready, left leg back, and again as you stride back, try and stay hip distance. Here, it throws everything out of alignment. Here we can align things and open the hips and tuck the bottom. Breathe in, bend into the back knee, don't let the ribs flare, palms face down, and you hinge forwards. So we're starting to engage the muscles to the back of the body. So pull the shoulder blades together here. Try not to lock out the right knee as you come forwards, ever so slightly soft. And don't rush, so you can breathe in slow. Start to breathe out as you rise and keep breathing out as you come forwards. Because using the out breath as you come forwards is hopefully going to help to engage your core and help with the balance and the length in the spine as you tip. Again, when you tip forward, try and make sure the weight doesn't move onto the toes. Try and keep it placed in the heel. 2 to go here. Tucking the tailbone as you go into your lunge. That's going to open up the hip flexors. And then hold in here. So leg not too high, more of a diagonal line. Bend your front knee and reach back into your left foot. And then push out your front heel. So again, it's like we're doing a single leg squat again. The hips are moving back, the weight moves into the bottom and the heel, and then push through the bottom. Press down through the heel. Think about the chin, slightly drawn in with the chin. So you're still maintaining that nice alignment through the neck and through the spine. Breathe in as you sit back. Breathe out to push forwards. 2 to go. And then your last one. And you can release. Right, I think you're warmed up. It's definitely switched on through the glutes. And let's grab the weights. We're going to come into a wide squat. So the idea with the wide squats is we keep our toes turned out, but we make sure that the knees are also in line with the feet. So if you feel your knees are coming forward and your toes are turned out, bring your feet closer in. Once you have got the toes out to 11 and 1, open the knees through in the same direction and roll your shoulders back. We're going to come down into a squat, add a bicep curl and a press. Pull it back to your collarbones, to your thighs and rise. Breathe in, tuck the bottom, breathe out, add your press, slow breath in, lower the weight and push up through the heels. So I want to feel the upper back engaged, the shoulder blades drawn towards each other. And as we go into that squat again, check the knees don't move forwards, slight tilt and sit back into the hips. Notice as you're at the press, you're pressing the weight to a diagonal line. It's not coming straight up towards the ceiling. Think about our upper body posture. Again, feeling those shoulder blades drawn down to the back of the ribs. And when you have that diagonal press, think about just slightly holding the front of the ribs down. And 4 more. Breathe in. Breathe out and press. Take a breath in. Breathe out and rise. Always feel the weight's back into the hips, back into the heels, and then push through the heels and squeeze the bottom. Tilt, pull, press, and reset. 1 more time. Just stay nice and low in the legs as you add that press. Then lower it to your thighs and rise up tall. Bring your weight into your right hand. So we're going to come into a squat and then into a lunge. So your feet just outside your hips, chest open. 1 squat and then step back to a lunge, bringing your weight to your left shoulder. So weight outside of the thigh into a squat and then to your left shoulder for your lunge. As you bring it to your left shoulder, your left hand comes underneath the weight and we feel that back knee sinking down towards the ground. Again, each time when we step back and step forward, we really focus on the shoulders here, being above the hips. So bring the shoulders back above the hips, slight hinge forward for the squat, breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. Chest stays nice and high, and try not to let the weight swing past your hip. So you're lowering the weight down with control here, and then back to your shoulder. 2 to go. Chest up. One more time, and stay at the back. Just bring the weight down to the outside of your right thigh, rolling both shoulders back, keeping the tilt forward so your bottom is still sticking towards the back of the room. And notice how the weight comes level with the rib cage, no higher. You're going to feel the shoulder blade drawing down to the back of the rib cage, and we're focusing on stability through our left hip. So if this left knee's dropped in, use the outer thigh pulling out so the kneecaps facing forwards. Lots of length into the lower back, so belly button through to spine, tailbone down towards that back heel. For 2, 1, and hold. Bring the elbow up. Tap your right foot forward, keep the heel up, and then tap back into a tricep press. So again, the bottom is still behind your heels. That's what's going to keep the work and the load in the bottom and out of the back. If we're letting our knees drop forward and trying to lean forward, it's going to hit the lower back. So the more we can sit the bottom back, keep the knees soft as you step in, so you're not rising up and down. Strong squeeze into the back of the arm. Weight still in that left heel. For 3, 2, and your last one. And step in and change sides. So weight in your left hand. Again, the weight sometimes wants to pull the shoulders forward. So we're instantly engaging our back muscles by holding the shoulders back in this position. Feet just outside the hips, knees are open. Hinge forward, sit back into the hips. Take the weight to your right shoulder, long stride back. Breathe in, chest open and lifted. Shoulders above hips here. And feel the push comes out of your right heel. Drive the right heel down. Right hand comes right underneath the waist, it catches in front of your shoulder. Breathing in slow, breathing out strong. Now as you bring your left arm across, still keep holding that left shoulder blade down to the back of the rib cage. As you go down to the lunge, little tuck of your tailbone, and there's no rush. Just move as fast or as slow as you need to, while you can maintain your alignment and really strong technique. All about control and strong alignments. 2 to go. Don't let the weight pass the hip. Just comes down to the outside of your thigh. Once more, and stay back. Bring the weight down, open up the chest, and then bring your left arm out to the side. Now don't let the weight come in line with your head. When it comes to the side, it wants to be in line with your rib cage. That way you can really focus on rolling the left shoulder blade down to the back of the rib. The arm will come higher if the shoulder moves up towards the ear. And that's when we start to use our upper traps. So really want to focus on that shoulder blade firmly, drawing into the spine. As you lower the weight, try and keep that shoulder blade tucked in towards the spine. And that's where we're really focusing on stabilising our upper back and our shoulders. Hips are back, waist just in that front heel, not into the toes. Knees still open from the hips, keep the outer thigh switched on. 2 more here. And then with your last one, hold the weight down, just in line with your shoulder. Step your left foot forward. Keep the heel lifted so it's light. Stick the bottom back, pull up your elbow. When you're ready, stride back, tap. And only move as far as you can, while you're still feeling you've got your weight anchored into your right heel. And if that right knee's trying to drop in, again we need the outer thigh on. And the more you pull the knee out, the more you're going to feel the muscles engage and maybe burn a little around that hip. Check the ribs are down, crown of head pulling forwards, and tailbone still drawing down towards that back heel. Last 2 here. Feeling the triceps. And your 1, and step in. Take the weight in both hands. Come into a split stance, so you can just step your right foot behind, tuck the bottom, Bring the plate to your collarbones or the weight and then pull your elbows in so they point into the floor. You should feel that comes from your shoulder blades. Now holding the ribs slightly down at the front and tucking your bottom, we extend the arms up and we come into a tricep extension. So as much as we're working through the back of the upper arms, we're very aware of what's happening through the full length of the spine. If the ribs flare forward, your tummy muscles lengthen, your back arches. So think about holding the ribs down. That switches on the upper abdominals to hold the ribs in place. And then see if you can create a little bit more length in your lower back by letting that tailbone almost feel heavy. And you can also think about gently lifting the front of your pelvis up towards your belly button. So the distance between your ribs and hips doesn't change as you move the arms. 3 to go here. Squeeze into the back of the arms for the extension. For 2, and your last one. And then bring the plate back to the collarbones and back to your thighs. Step in, open up the collarbones again, so connecting your shoulder blades. And again, a little tuck at the bottom, not so you're flattening your lower back, just so you're holding that natural arch in your lower back. Weights in the heels and your bottom sticks out. I'm just going to ease into our deadlifts. We're going to pause here. We're going to feel the stretch in the back of the legs, and don't lift up the weight of the upper body, just push your heels into the floor. So you pause, connect your shoulder blades, push down through the heels. And that's what's going to help us stretch and strengthen our hamstrings. Now if we don't push the hips back and we let the back bend, then we're stretching the muscles in the back, and when we lift, we're having to use the back. So whenever you bend, whether it be gardening or picking up heavy boxes, you kind of lock yourself into a nice strong position. So all the movement comes from the hips rather than the back. Breathing in as you hinge, don't lift with the back, push it from the ground. Knees are staying soft, and again collarbones staying really open at the front. Because as soon as your collarbones start to come in towards each other, that's going to make the upper back round. So just being aware those collarbones stay open as you hinge, and then just push with the heels. Don't try to lift the weights, let the arms relax. Drive the heels into the floor. 2 to go here. It's that feeling again that you're lifting your hips away from your heels. And perfectly done. Right, so let's come into a little twist. So weight just by your breastbone, your shoulders in same position. Right leg strides back. Bend the knee, add a little twist to your left, and then step forward. Now it doesn't have to be a big stride, a big lunge, sorry. You can take a stride back. So you can just be on the ball of your foot and focus on keeping the front knee and the hips still. Again, you can go further and sink down to more of a lunge, but wherever you are, the shoulders want to stay directly above the hips. Shoulder blades are down, the collarbones are open. And when you stride back, feel the weight stays in that front heel. If the knee's gone forward, it'll move into your toes. And you want to keep it in the heel, so when you push forward, you're going to activate your calves, your hamstrings, and your glutes. If you push through the toes, it works different muscles, and it'll feel a lot more wobblier. If wobblier is a word, I think it is. Tuck the bottom. Now we're going to add in a heel raise. So step back into your lunge or into your stride, lift the heel, and then turn. Place the heel down and step forward. So again, just before you turn, lift the heel. Keep squeezing the bottom, heel down, then step in. Again, if you want to do that from here, that's perfectly fine still. Or again, you might want to try and stride a little further back. But whenever you stride back, tuck the bottom. And that way, again, we're opening the hips. The more we open up the hips, the more we can activate our glutes. Sometimes when the hip flex are tight and pull the pelvis forward, they don't allow our glutes to fully engage. Your glutes will fully engage when you get the hips right underneath your shoulders. Don't know if the heating's still on, I'll be just working really hard. I feel rather warm. Tuck the bottom. One more on each side. Again, it's that control and that precision of your movement that counts. And rest. Weight into your left hand. When you're ready, right leg out to the side. Try not to tilt, keep your shoulders above the hips. We're going to go to a bicep curl with a hamstring curl. So you just lighten to the toe, the weight stays in that left heel, and you're bringing your heel back towards the bottom. And it's tempting to let the knee come forward. The upper part of the leg, we aim to keep still. Tailbone is tucked, and as you lower the hand, don't let the weight swing past the hip. Breathing out through the mouth and in through the nose. Feel the shoulders still stacked directly above the hips. And if you feel you're tilting, just bring the leg in a little further. Still working with your hamstring curl. 3 to go on this side. Left knee slightly soft. For 2. And your last one. Hold. Just out to the side of the shoulder. Lifting the leg. And again, it might come from here and just tap out to the side. Or you might be able to lift it a little higher. Thinking about the upper body. Shoulders above hips, tailbone tucked under. Soft elbow on that left arm. Breathing out, keeping the toes facing forward as you push your right leg away. So that's how we get the hip abduction. And we should also be feeling that left hip working as well. Make sure that left knee isn't in. Open it from the hip for 3, 2, 1, and rest. Change sides. So legs slightly out to the side, and then if you've tilted, just try and bring the shoulders back above the hips and tuck the bottom. The right knee's in, open it from the hip, and then the heel goes back, and you tap your toe. Again, feel you're tilting, just bring the leg in a little bit closer. Now with a bicep curl, and looking at shoulder stability still. Shoulder blades drawn down into the back of the rib cage. Front of the ribs nice and lifted. Try to make sure the knee doesn't come forwards. Pull it back towards the bottom. So again, that builds strength into the hamstrings. Very focused on stability through that standing leg. Not locking out the knee. So again, slightly soften the knee. But also while you're not going forward into the toes. And almost push the bottom back just ever so slightly. And that should help you to keep the weight anchored into the heel. One more time. And then hold with balance. So again, you might want to start closer, out to a tap. Or again, you might be able to lift the leg. But if you put your hand on your left hip, and almost push that left hip down. So when you're lifting your left leg, you're aware that hip isn't lifting. So the whole time, pelvis is staying level. Shoulder blades are still drawing to the back of the rib cage. Right knee still open from the hip. 3. Control it down, don't rush. 2. And your last one. And now you can rest. I can come down to the floor anyway. Count. Right, so when you're ready, we're going to come down onto our hands and knees. So in a kneeling position, if you struggle on your hands and knees, you can stay standing and do the same work standing. Weight in your right hand. Left hand directly beneath your shoulder, so your right hand is shoulder width. Now both hands are shoulder width apart. Right, you're going to pull your elbow up by the rib. If the shoulder's dropping below your left shoulder, push the hand into the floor and almost feel like you're lifting your breastbone away from the ground. From there, tricep kickback. So notice how the upper arm stays. You're turning, you're pointing your knuckles to the floor, so the elbow's at 90 degrees, and you're taking out a straight leg. Now lift the belly button towards the spine. Keep your left knee at 90, and then push the heel up towards the ceiling. So again, keep the knee at 90 degrees. It's a challenge for your core. If you struggle to keep the back in neutral, you might want to just take it to a leg slide instead. Breathe out with each lift. Try to make sure the head hasn't dropped below your shoulders. For 3, just centre, 2, and 1. And then rest. So just let both hands come down. Allow your hips to just sink back to the heels. Draw the shoulder blades down, press your hands into the floor, and try and pull yourself forward again with your fingertips here. So it just brings a bit more release around the shoulders. Other side. So weight into your left hand when you're ready. So on the right hand, directly beneath the shoulder. Setting the shoulders, so try and set the shoulders, the chest collapse to the floor. Kind of lifting your breastbone up so you feel the shoulder blades really sitting into the back of the rib cage. And we pull up the elbow, so it's tucked in here by the ribs, doesn't move, and we just straighten the arm, back to 90 degrees. Straight and back to 90. So the weight shouldn't go any higher than your hip if you're keeping your shoulders still. The weight will only go higher if you drop your shoulder down, and we don't want that to happen. Push the crown of the head forwards, lock the elbow in, like you're squeezing your armpit closed. Right knee, keeping it at 90 if you can, push up towards the ceiling, or if you prefer, slide back into a straight leg. If you're taking the heel up towards the ceiling, you've got to focus on the abdominals, trying to make sure the lower back doesn't arch. If you're drawing the belly button to the spine, as you start to push up. 3 to go here. 2. And your last one. And then you can rest. Put the weight down. Stretch out the arms again and just pull back into the hips. Walk your hands a little further forward this time. Press down with the fingertips. And now try and pull your shoulder blades down to the back of the rib cage while keeping your fingertips pressed into the floor. Keep pressing down with the fingertips a little bit more now. Pull the shoulder blades down a little further. And then you can relax. Come onto your back when you're ready. So both legs, knees in line with hips, knees about 90 degrees, not too close, not too far. The knees roughly at a 90 degree angle. Weight in the one hand, so in your left hand and your left shoulder back. Pin the left shoulder into the ground. Right knee above your hip. We're going to open the arm out and add in a single leg extension. So again, just like in that box position, we're thinking about our core. The ribs are softly drawn down and the belly button holds down towards the spine. Now we're not pressing the lower back into the floor, we're not in an imprint here. We've got neutral spines, we've got one foot still down on the floor. And the one foot that's on the floor, make it light. Keep it light the whole time as you're moving. That way you're going to have to rely on your core more to stabilise as you move, rather than pressing to your heel and using your hip flexors. So just check on the upper abdominals, making sure they're not flaring as you lower the arm. And again, as we lower the arm, like we did before, if it comes up by your head, your shoulder has moved up towards your ear. So as the arm's coming out to the side, it's still in line with the middle of your rib cage. Breathe in to open, breathe out to close. And again, it's all about being able to move the arm and the leg and resist that movement with the trunk of your body. 2 more. The last one. And then change sides. Bring the right foot down, weight into your left hand. And again, we don't want this left shoulder off the floor. We need to roll it back in set position and press the shoulder into the ground and relax the elbow. So if you look at your weight straight away, it's in line with your mid-chest, not by your head. Left knee lifts, 90 degrees. You're not in imprint, so ribs draw down, tailbone gently press the floor, and you breathe in as you open, and you breathe out as you close. You draw the ribs slightly down just before you extend the leg, and really focus on trying to hold the ribs in place as that leg moves. Check how light your right foot is. How light can you keep that right foot as you move without compensating by letting the ribs flare or the back arch. So once we've got our distance set between the front of the ribs and the hips, Our big focus is trying to maintain that distance between the ribs and the hips as we move. Check in, the weight's in line with the middle of the rib cage, not coming up over the shoulder. Breathe in as you ease down. And if you feel the back is lifting or the ribs are flaring, don't take the leg as far. Just that point, that bite point, where you can feel everything's working to hold everything where it should be. 2 more here. Your last one. And then weight down and the foot down. Take the weight in both hands, weight down, weight stays up, feet come down. Set the shoulders, keep the ribs down now, and just take a double arm pull over. Now we're not trying to get the weight to the floor. We're trying to keep the arms straight and the back of the ribs down on the ground. So if you draw the front of the ribs down, softly press the back of the ribs into the floor. Keep the arms straight and just focus now on the ribs. As the arms go back, you're trying not to let your ribs move. And if you're keeping your ribs down, you're keeping your upper abdominals on, and then you're encouraging more movement through the shoulders rather than the back going into extension as the weight goes back. If the back goes into extension and arches, naturally has to lengthen the tummy muscles. So feel the back of the ribs, draw them into the ground. Softly hold the front of the ribs down. Keep holding them there as the arms go back. Such an effective exercise when you focus on the ribs rather than trying to focus on reaching to the floor. Oof. Now breathe in as you reach back, hold the ribs down. Breathe out through the mouth with your lift. Chin ever so slightly nodded in. Oof. And 4 more here. Ribs connect first. We keep connecting them ribs as we move the arms. Last 2. Breathe out through the mouth. And again, a breath in. And then out breath. And bring the weight down this time. Give your shoulders a little release. So just taking the arms back over the head, cross the arms over the head. And as you circle the hands down towards your hips, palms face up to the ceiling. And it's almost like you're scraping the back of the arms along the floor. Now before you go this time, draw the front of the ribs down. So again, as your arms go back, you might not go as far. Again, you're still using your upper abdominals to hold the ribs in place. You can stay with just the arm circles, or as you bring your hands to your thighs, you're tucking your chin and come into a crunch. Breathe in, taking the arms back, and then breathe out, keeping the hands really low to the floor. In through the nose as you roll back. Breathe out, draw the ribs to the hips, but don't press again the lower back towards the ground. So you've more got your tailbone anchored to the floor, so that when we rise, we're nodding the chin, so we're not using the neck, and we pull the ribs towards the hips. And the more we keep the tailbone anchored to the ground, the more we're going to feel the upper abdominals working. Now really work on the chin, bring it into the chest first. Draw the ribs to the hips. 2 more here. Just a circle if the crunch feels too much for the neck. And your last one. And then we can rest all the way down. Right, so let's just do some knee rolls while we're here. We'll bring our weight back in, because the weight helps us, or it challenges, should I say, it doesn't help. It makes it harder actually. But it does help us to keep the shoulders in place. So when you've got hold of the weight, don't let it be over your face. Pull the shoulders away from your ears and pull the shoulder blades down to the point where your weight is right over your breastbone. Elbows are in, so they're not winging out. And then both knees up above the hips. Into a soft imprint, a little tilt back with the pelvis. And you're going to keep the weight still and let your knees roll. So you're rolling onto your left hip, your right buttock lifts, hips are level here. And as you roll onto your right hip, your left knee lifts. Now you can add in a double leg extension. And again, still seeing how still your weight stays. Keep retracting the shoulders and pressing them into the floor. And that's going to really focus on our ribs and our shoulders staying in set position. So then as we rotate from one hip to the other, that rotation comes through the waist. So that's a strength and work into our obliques. Nodding the chin up there, just slightly. Try not to let the feet touch. If it feels too much for the leg extension, keep the knees at 90. Again, keep looking at your weight the whole time. Don't let your eye gaze move away from the weight. Breathe in. Breathe out as you pull back. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just one more on each side. Last one each side. Breathing in, breathe out, ease back to centre. I've lost my balance. And rest. Bring your feet down, bring the weight down, and bring in your knees. Just bring the knees in towards the chest, making sure the head's rested and relaxed. Take out your right leg. Keep your left knee hugged in, so don't let the knee move away from your chest. Hold it in here as much as you can. Then take the hands behind the back of your thighs, still holding the knee into your chest. Then you're going to try and straighten your leg. It won't straighten unless your knee comes away from your chest. So we're going to focus on holding the knee in. So when we start to straighten the leg, we're going to feel more stretch in the upper part of the hamstrings if we're keeping the knee in. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, try and gently press your bottom, your tailbone towards the floor, just a little. And again, you might feel that stretch gently increases. If your leg starts to shake like mine is, just ease off a little, just a mild stretch. And then if that stretch starts to ease, take a breath in. On your out breath, either press the tailbone down or just try and straighten the leg a little more. Still keep that knee hooked nice and tight into your chest. And release that leg. Change sides. So bring in your left and right knee. Hug it into your chest and slide your left leg out. That's going to help us to keep a neutral spine. So we can press the tailbone gently to the ground, roll back into the shoulders. And again, don't let the knee come away from your body, hold it in. And take the hands behind your thighs. Gently hugging that knee, feel the shoulders are firm on the floor. And then get the feeling you're going to try and straighten your leg, like you're taking your foot towards the ceiling. And again, just find that place. It just starts to stretch into the hamstrings a little bit more. Rather than the knee pulling away from your body, if it's starting to pull away, bend the knee more and bring the knee in. Then try and straighten the leg again. I say straight loosely because it's nowhere near straight and it's not meant to be. Again, you can lengthen by pressing the tailbone back into the ground. Breathe it into your nose. Breathe out as you press down at the bottom. And then when you're ready, bend both knees. Bring them both in. Put your hands just below your knees. Tuck in your chin and roll up. And then roll over. So as you turn over, bring your hands to shoulder width. Knees to hip distance. Nice long flat back here. And tucking under with your toes. Keep the toes tucked under. Push through the hands and push your hips back towards your heels. Then start to lift the hips. Again, trying to straighten the legs. If you can, tuck your ears in between your arms. Bend your right knee and press your left heel towards the ground. And at the same time, lifting your bottom up to the ceiling. Change legs. So bend your left knee, press your right heel back. Lift the bottom up. I feel like you're almost pressing your chest through to your thighs at the same time. Gets a good release in the shoulders and the hamstrings and the back. Bend both knees, so both heels are lifted. Bend the knees and then step forwards. One foot and then the other. So heels come to hip distance. If that's difficult, walk the hands in or walk the feet in. Relax the neck, head, shoulders here. Lift the belly up to the spine. And you can walk your hands up your shins and just allow the arms to hang as you roll back up through each vertebrae. Shins in. Shoulders come back right above the hips. You let them drop down. And then a couple of shoulder circles here. And once more. And that should have you nicely set up for the day. Breathe in, lift both shoulders. And let them drop. And again, a little lift. And release. And well done, ladies and gents. Good start to a Monday morning. I think everything's